Good evening, everyone, and welcome this evening. The purpose of the meeting today or this evening is to provide you with an overview of how the high school is different from the middle school, to help you to understand how scheduling works, how the course selection process works. We will provide you with the extracurricular and clubs that are offered, graduation requirements. There's a lot of different information that we will be discussing this evening. And we're hoping that with you going away this evening, you'll have a better understanding as to how the high school is a little bit different from the middle school. Joining us this evening, we have Mrs. Santos, Rosanna Santos, who is a school counselor at the high school. We have Rachel Rosen, who is also a school counselor at the high school. At the high school, there are 10 school counselors. The students are assigned to the school counselors by their last name alphabetically, generally. There are some that are a little bit different, but generally they're assigned alphabetically to the school counselors. Also joining us is Ms. Payagros. Many of you will know her from Roosevelt Middle School. She's a school counselor there. And Ms. McAteer, Jenna McAteer, she is the school counselor at Roosevelt Middle School as well. Also joining us is Ms. Stephanie Nesbitt. She is the school counselor at Liberty Middle School. At any time, if you do have any questions, please write your questions in the Q&A box. We will answer them as the presentation is going on. And whatever we do not answer during this time, we will afford time at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Lauren if she can please present. You can go to the next one. Okay, once again, welcome class of 2026. This sounds like so far away, but here we are. Next year, our freshman year, our freshman students will be in that class of 2026. I know that also online, we do have some students who will be transitioning to the high school or transitioning into our district, and we would like to welcome you as well. During the time at the high school, it's a time of change. It's a time of change in many different ways. And this evening, we're going to talk about those changes. You're managing a new and much larger school. Many of our schools are 3 buildings. You will have an opportunity to tour the buildings in August. Initially, it could be a little daunting when you're thinking about going from the 1 building to now 3 buildings, but our students, they adjust and they make it happen. I think it's more daunting for the parents when they're transitioning or going throughout the building and wondering how does my child get from point A to point B, but it happens. Taking new courses. At the high school, we have a lot of different courses that our students can choose from, and you will have an opportunity to hear a little bit about some of those courses this evening, as well as read about them in the programs of studies that was shared with you at the middle schools. If you have not received a copy of the programs of studies, you will receive that information throughout this presentation. You will be able to access it. Adjusting to new teachers. At the high school, we have many different teachers as well. And it's our students, when they initially come, it's a transition for them, the new classes and new teachers. Meeting new friends. It's not just their friends that are within their community or within their community. It's also outside of their little cocoon, I always say. They're meeting new friends outside of their school. It's 2 schools melting together, Roosevelt and Liberty. Next. At the high school, the one thing that I stress with parents is that the students have a greater sense of independence, and with that comes a greater sense of responsibility. We always work with the students, and we always encourage the parents to work with the students on making good decisions and managing their time. They have a lot of time where they're managing what the work that they're doing, managing the assignments that they're doing. And they have a lot of different activities that they're participating in it, be it an extracurricular activity, a club, an athletic program, and just balancing all that. And we try to assist and help students with managing that time. Attendance counts. I always tell students from day one, your attendance counts. If a student is not in class and there's not an excuse for them not to be there, it's considered a cut. If a student misses more than 18 days, they do not receive credit for a particular class. They will have to repeat that particular class. So we always tell the students your attendance counts from day one, from the time that first day of school. At the high school, the expectations is that the students take the initiative. They take the initiative to seek the help or that extra help from the teachers. If they're seeing that they're struggling in a particular class, taking the initiative to seek the help of the teacher is extremely important for our students. Entering into the high school also is that time where they begin to really narrow it down and begin to really think about that college and career choices. During their elementary and middle school years, they have been exposed to different career options, career choices, exposed to the possibility of the college and what colleges have to offer. Now, once they get to the high school, they begin to melt those two areas together. What is it that I want to do, and what do I need to do to get there, to prepare myself to get there? And advocating for yourself. We always encourage our students to advocate for what it is that they want, what it is that they need when they're within the school. The school counselors are there to support and guide them through that process, but we encourage them to advocate for themselves. I think that at times this is more difficult for our parents because it's that time where you're letting them go a little bit to make those decisions and manage that time, and advocating for themselves is a part of that process.
At West Orange High School, the counselors assist students with a variety of things, from academic advising to course scheduling, post-high school planning, individual counseling, and addressing student concerns. But in addition to the one-on-one meetings we have with students, we also hold small group meetings according to grade level. The school counselors also provide referrals to students and families in and outside of school. Next slide. In June, your child will receive a list of their classes for next year. With that, they will also receive a copy of the counselor caseload assignment for the upcoming school year, as pictured here in the slide. Please be advised that this current caseload assignment is subject to change. At West Orange High School, we have 2 student assistance counselors, or SACs, Mr. Chiricello for last names A through K, and Ms. Headlam for last names L through Z. The SACs help our students and families with a multitude of issues, including, but not limited to, providing community resources to those struggling with substance abuse, providing support in cases where students' academics are being affected by social, emotional, or mental health issues. The SACs also serve as members of different student support teams at the high school, such as 504 and IRNRS, and they also assist with staff development. And lastly, the SACs also serve as our anti-bullying specialists at the high school.
Okay, so what do incoming freshmen need to know? Go to the next slide. The biggest piece of advice that I can give any parents or students is to make every year count. Really from day one of freshman year all the way through graduation senior year, it's important to make sure that you're always putting your best foot forward. Not only to make it a fruitful high school experience, but also colleges are going to be using these measures, GPA and extracurricular activities, to determine whether or not to accept you into college. So really make every year count, and make sure that you're getting the best grades that you can possibly get, and also getting involved in extracurricular activities, things like community service, clubs, and sports. And we'll be talking more about these things as we go through. So one of the major differences between high school and middle school is that in high school, all of your grades get recorded on a transcript. I always tell my freshmen it's like a fancy report card. It will list all of the classes that the students elect or choose to take each year. It will display the final grade, and it will also display the number of credits that are earned. We're going to talk more about credits and graduation requirements in slides to come, but this is also another big difference between high school and middle school. In high school, there are not only West Orange specific graduation requirements, but there are New Jersey state graduation requirements that need to be met each year in order to ensure that you're on track to receive a diploma in the end of 12th grade. Also on this transcript, GPA or grade point average is calculated. So that's also something different from middle school. It's displayed by year. So at the end of each year, the GPA is calculated based only on final grades. So you'll have your 9th grade GPA, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and then it will also list the cumulative GPA. It will also list out the credits that were attempted and the credits that were earned each year. And displayed there. So this document becomes very, very important when applying to college, and it's usually the first and most important thing that colleges are looking at when determining whether or not to accept you. So we can go to the next slide. So a little bit about graduation requirements. One of our main responsibilities here at the high school is to make sure that students are on track to graduate. So we meet with the students several times a year to discuss their courses, their course load, and kind of map out their schedules for the 4 years that they're in high school. Really, what students need to know is that you have to earn a certain number of credits. It's 135 credits in order to graduate. As long as you're in good academic standing, this is no problem at all. Usually students earn anywhere from about 40 to 42 credits a year. So times 4, you should have well over 160 credits when you graduate. And then there are certain New Jersey state requirements that also need to be met within those credit requirements that we'll talk a little bit about as well on the next slide. So again, you don't need to memorize this or worry about this. We as the counselors make sure that students are scheduled for these each year, but to kind of summarize what the New Jersey state graduation requirements are, it's 4 years of English, it's 3 years of math. Students can elect to take more than that, and in any of these. 3 years of social studies, PE and health each year, 3 years of science, at least 5 credits or 1 year in visual or performing arts, at least 5 credits or 1 year in a world language, at least 5 credits in a 21st century life and careers class, and 2.5 credits or a half year of financial, economic, business literacy. We also have a promotion policy at the high school. So students need to earn a certain amount of credits each year to be promoted to the next grade level. Again, as long as you're in good academic standing and you're passing all of your classes, this is not an issue. But the minimum requirements for each grade level are listed here. So in order to move on to 10th grade, a student needs to have 30 credits at the end of their freshman year. In order to move from 10th to 11th grade, they need to have 65 credits. And in order to move from 11th to 12th grade, they need to have 100 credits. This is a sample chart that we as the school counselors use to, ensure that we're meeting all of the requirements, and students are encouraged to, use this as well if they want to try and, map out the classes that they're planning to take throughout their high school career. But again, this is something that we are meeting with the students on a regular basis to make sure that that they will meet all of their graduation requirements.
In addition to academic achievement, colleges want to see one's extracurricular involvement and service to their community. Next slide. So here's an example of a student's activity resume. You will see that in addition to their school-based activities, they've also included things like volunteer service and work experience, which is also great to show in college for college admissions purposes. Next slide. West Orange High School offers a variety of clubs and sports. Here we've included links to a list of both, which you will be able to access after tonight's presentation. Next slide. Now, with regards to high school sports, a physical is required each year. There is no credit requirement for incoming students from 8th grade. However, after that, you must earn a minimum of 30 credits each year in order to play the following year. All athletes must maintain good academic standing in order to play. And West Orange High School does have a program in place called ASAP for student athletes who are struggling academically to help them get back on track. Through the program, students must document that they are seeing their teachers for extra help and improve their grades in order to resume playing a sport. Next slide. So student athletes wishing to play a sport at a Division I or II college must first meet eligibility through the NCAA clearinghouse. In addition to maintaining good academic standing, your child can also meet with their counselor to ensure that they are taking NCAA approved courses. Students will also have to create an account on the NCAA Eligibility Center website. And we've provided those links for you on that slide as well.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about scheduling. So the scheduling at the high school is very complicated, and we're going to try to go through it step by step with you guys. But just keep in mind that some of it might go over your head, especially when we start talking about the rotating drop schedule. The biggest difference is that there are a ton more courses that are offered at the high school. West Orange High School is really unique in that we offer so many different elective classes. It's almost comparable to like a small college campus. So we always encourage students to take challenging courses, to try to challenge themselves in different levels of classes, whether it be honors classes or AP level classes when they become upper freshmen. Taking challenging courses at the high school also makes you much more marketable as a college applicant. We linked here the program of studies, so you can take a look. It's like a 130-page document with a list of all of the classes that we do offer at the high school and course descriptions. Electives, usually as a freshman, you will have 2 periods open for electives, and we really encourage students to try different classes when they're in the high school. Because of the variety of classes that we offer, usually it's a really great way to help try and decide on different career paths or possibly rule out different career paths. So make sure that your child is speaking with your counselor about different ideas that they have for career paths, because we will be able to recommend a variety of electives that may, align with those paths. So what does a typical freshman schedule look like? All students are scheduled for 8 periods. As a freshman, they will be scheduled for English 9, biology, modern world history, their math class, a PE Health 9 class, and usually a world language. So that does leave 2 periods open for elective classes. We offer both full year elective classes and also semester elective classes. So those are half year elective classes. And depending on what the student chooses, they may have 4 half year classes of electives. They may have 1 full year and 2 half year, or possibly 2 full years. Move on to the next slide. The middle school counselors will provide a link to the course selection sheet so that students can select the electives that they want to take. We always encourage students to put as many as possible because it's not always guaranteed that they will get their first or second choice elective. So the more choices that we are given, the better chance, the student will be happy with their schedule. Linked to the course selection sheet, there's also a key at the bottom. So it will tell you whether or not the class meets certain elective requirements, like the financial literacy requirement, the visual or performing art requirement, or the 21st century careers requirement. And again, we, will be tracking that along the way to make sure that students meet all their requirements before they graduate. Liberty and Roosevelt have created 2 scheduling websites. So I know the information is going to be shared with you, and that will have links to the program of studies, I believe a video, and also the Google form where students can actually select their elective choices. I believe the deadline for selecting elective choices at the middle school is January 21st. We'll go to the next slide. So in addition to choosing the elective classes that students want to take next year, we also have a variety of special small learning communities or special programs that are available for freshmen. All 4 of these programs are application based, so they all require an application that is due February 4th. I'll briefly go over the 4, and then we can always take questions at the end. The first is the Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. So this is meant to be a 4-year program. Students are scheduled for 1 period each year of the ROTC program. And they are exposed to a variety of things, not only learning about armed forces, military, but also community service requirements. They do have to wear a uniform on certain days, and a variety of other requirements that are listed out by the majors. So if your child is interested in that, I highly recommend, filling out an application. The next special program for freshmen is TCI, the Collegiate Institute, formerly known as AVID. And this is for, very determined, hardworking students that want to be college bound. It is another elective period that is put into the student schedule where they have time to meet with advisors, work on their study skills, time management, and it's really aimed to help students get ready for college and make the most out of their academic experience. The last 2 programs that I'm going to talk about are honors-based programs. So IH is the Institute for Humanities, and IMS is the Institute for Math and Science. I'll start with IH, Institute for Humanities. This is an interest-based program, so as is IMS. So Institute for Humanities is for a student who loves the arts, who loves language arts, who loves social studies and history, and is interested in taking electives that are related to the humanities. So the requirements for IH are that the student be recommended for both honors English and honors social studies. That's the first requirement. And then each year the student has to take 5 credits or a full year of humanities electives that are approved by the IH committee. So we can go over that. It's also in the course of studies, but it's usually anything in the fine arts, drama, theater, music, creative writing counts as one of them as well. So that's the biggest difference between the IH and IMS are the elective requirements. So I always tell students that if they're not interested in those electives, that the IH program or the IMS program is not for them. They're still eligible if recommended to take honors English, honors history, but it's really if you're interested in those specific electives that you would want to apply to the IH or IMS program. The IMS program, similar to Institute for Humanities, is for those students that love math and science, need to be recommended for honors math and for honors science, and need to be interested in one of the elective requirements for the IMS program. So those are in the course of studies, the program of studies, and you can take a look to see if your child is interested in that. On to the next slide.
It's never too early to start planning for your future in terms of beginning to take a look at the elective courses offered at the high school and beginning to plan ahead and think about what electives are available that could prepare you for the career that you're interested or that you are trying to explore a little bit in terms of careers in order to gauge, what it is that you want to study in college and beyond. Here we've included links to our program of studies where you can find course offerings and descriptions. We've also included links to additional career-focused programs available at the high school. Next slide. With regards to the schedule at the high school, we do operate on a rotating drop schedule with designated A, B, C, and D days, meaning that each day class periods are held in a different order and 2 class periods drop each day. So for example, if today we're designated as a C day, only class periods 3, 4, 1, 7, and 8 and 5 would meet, and periods 2 and 6 would drop. Next slide. So at the high school, we use Naviance Family Connection, which is a valuable resource for students and parents. The school uses it to send out important announcements to students and families, but students are also set up with an account where they can use the program for things like career exploration, college research, course planning, and also they're able to access a ton of resources and more on there. The school counselors will be holding freshman group meetings in the fall, and at that time, they will also ensure that your child has been set up for a Naviance account.
Ms. Butler, I think you're going to close us out with the next steps. I don't know.
Ms. Butler, I'm sorry, you're on mute. Oh, nope, you're still on mute. I got you. Hold on. There you go. Now you're off mute.
It's off. Okay, sorry about that. Next steps. What's next? What's next for our students, our 8th grade students entering the high school? What's the next steps for any student, newly enrolled student within our district? Number one, the 8th grade students will be meeting with their school counselors to complete their course request. At that time, the school counselors will discuss with them any teacher recommendations. If it's recommendations to a specific program, if it's the recommendations to honors courses, the school counselors will have those discussions with the students and share that information with the parents as well. If it's a newly enrolled student in the district, this conversation will take place with the school counselor at the high school once the student has enrolled in the district. Once the student has enrolled in the district, the school counselor or myself will meet with that student and that parent to review the courses as well as the different programs. Any student who is recommended for a particular program, they must complete the application by the specific deadline. The deadline for completing most applications is February 4th. This information must be completed and submitted by that time. Some individuals have asked, can I apply to all the different programs? Generally, every program is an interest-based program. So generally, no, we do not take applications for the IMS program and the IH. We ask that the students and their parents have that discussion and make a determination which one is really interested in, which program will really meet not only my needs as well as my interests. So those discussions take place and the students apply to one of the special programs. During the students who are entering into the district, newly enrolled students may have the question, well, can I be a part of the special programs? If I don't apply to the school, register into the school until June, can I still apply to one of the special programs? The answer to that question is yes. At the end of each year, we do leave, we have a certain number of students that are accepted into the program, and we do leave opportunities available for newly enrolled students, so that if you will have an opportunity to apply to any special programs as well if you're just entering into the district. During the summertime, we ask that you are mindful of any summer assignments. Many of the honors courses, special programs require students to complete summer assignments, and those summer assignments are generally listed on the district website near the end of the school year. So we ask that students and parents take a look at that list and make sure that the summer assignments are completed before the students start school in September. We encourage the students to attend the orientation that is in August. Generally, information goes out to the parents sometime in July about the dates of the summer orientation. During this time, students have an opportunity to tour the buildings, to meet a mentor. They are paired with an upperclassman who becomes their mentor for the time that they're at the high school. They also have an opportunity to take a look at their schedule, walk through the building with their schedule so that they become familiar with how to navigate the building. The high school schedules are published in Power School, usually about the second week in August. All students will be notified when those schedules are published. Once they are published, we ask the students to review your schedule, making sure that that you don't have any questions or concerns. If you think you would want to make a schedule change, that schedule change must be made before the first day of school. School counselors are available during the summer to address any schedule changes. Any schedule changes that are not made prior to the first day of school, students are, there's a time frame in which they can make those changes, and those changes are, dates are listed in our student handbook. In June, about the second week of June, all our students, the incoming 8th graders, as well as our current 9th, 10th, and 11th, you will receive a letter from the school counseling department that will have the courses that you have requested. Most of the time, the courses that are there in that letter are the courses that you will be scheduled for in September. But throughout the summer, if there's any change in the master schedule, that may change, and that will be reflected in your schedule in August when you receive it. The school counselors will be in touch with you throughout the summer in the event that any changes need to be made. When you receive the letter in June, any questions about the schedule, any questions about the courses should be directed to the high school counselor. The high school counselor assignments are in this presentation, and I will share it with everyone as well, the assigned school counselor for the students. At this time, if there's any questions, we will address any questions. I think that throughout the presentation that I think I've addressed most of the questions. We will continue to address any questions that you may have.
We can just start going down like the open questions.
Okay.
And I see the first one. The question is biology the same for everyone, whether they're in honors science or not? I'll answer this broadly about honors versus what we call college prep. The curriculum is very much aligned. The honors classes go at a faster pace and in more depth. So that's the main difference between honors and college prep level. We also work on what's called a weighted GPA, meaning that students get more GPA points for higher grades in harder classes. So the GPA is worth more points in an honors level class and worth even more points in an advanced placement level class. So that helps to incentivize students to challenge themselves and take more challenging courses because it helps to bring your GPA up.
Okay. What is the length of classes at the high school? Each class is 53 minutes. Sometimes there is a conflict with the extracurricular activities or clubs. They do interfere with the sports program. And that's where, you kind of have to make decisions, choices. Am I going to be able to participate in this sport and also in this club or extracurricular activity? Because we have a common lunch period, meaning that all students have lunch during the same time every day, some of our extracurricular and or clubs meet during that lunch period. So that would be an instance where the sports program will not conflict with that extracurricular activity or clubs. Extracurricular and activities and clubs, the calendar of the dates that they meet and the locations that they meet is published in September. So you'll have that list and you'll be able to decide what clubs or extracurricular activities you want to participate in versus, or the sports program you want to participate in. Are the applications online for special programs? Yes, all applications for special programs are online, but the middle school counselors will be providing you with the recommendations to the different programs, the IH programs, the TCI, formerly AVID program, and the IMS. The middle school counselors will be providing you with those recommendations. However, the all applications are online. The counselors will be providing students who are recommended for the programs with those applications. Is that correct, Stephanie? Yes.
Yes, I sent out an email. Karen and I both, Ms. Paragros and I both, we sent out an email to the families, we emailed all the students. We met with all the science classes to meet with all of the 8th graders to give them the information, and our slideshow is on the scheduling website that was just mentioned, and it has all the links to everything. We will be giving out the IH and IMS applications to the students who have the course recommendations to apply probably at the end of this week.
I'll take the next question, and I think this is a question we always get every year. What is the benefit of the special programs since students not in them can still be in honors classes and can still take the same electives? The purpose of these programs, they were designed to help bring students with similar interests together. So typically the students would be either in the same science and math class for IMS, or they would be in the same history and English classes for IH. You're absolutely correct in that students who are not in the programs can essentially take the same classes. A thing that really, just makes those stand out different, makes the program stand out, is the co-curricular activities that are designed around the programs. Things like field trips, special assignments that may be designed through both the math and sciences, or the English and the social studies teachers. Like, I sit on the IH committee, and I know that the social studies and English teachers, they often do the curriculum planning together, and they often do their lesson planning together, so that there's kind of common themes that go through those two subjects, in addition to the electives that are offered as well. So those IMS and IH programs are really designed for students who have a strong interest in either of those areas. If your child doesn't have a strong interest in those, but they're still recommended to take the honors classes, then absolutely let them take the honors classes, and they, can have a wider range of choices for electives that they want to take.
Okay, I think I answered a question just now that said, when can students that are new to the district enroll? They can enroll into the district once they have completed their academic year at their current school. And at that time, they would contact the registration department and set up a date and time to register their son or daughter. James has asked, I'll answer this one. He has asked if there's only 20 slots in a course and there are 25 students that want that class, how is it determined that those 20 spots are filled? Generally, our system, our computer system generates the schedule based on students' needs and interests. So most of our students, believe it or not, the courses that they select are the courses that they receive. We ask students to select multiple electives that they are interested in, so that if the spots are filled, it's computer generated. So if the spots are filled, there are other options for that student. Is there consideration for credit for summer courses? Can a student place into an advanced math class at the high school? There is a opportunity for students to take courses during the summer school programs where they can advance in a particular math course. The summer school course has to be approved first by the supervisor of the department. The curriculum that is going to be offered during that summer program has to be submitted to our supervisor of, in this area, the math department. They will review it and make a determination. In the event that the student does take that summer course, it has to be 120 hours and not the traditional 60-hour summer course program. We do have an application or a process for a student to follow if that is something that you're interested in. And you can contact me and I will provide you with that information, or contact the school counselors and they will provide it to you.
Let me see here. Someone's asking, do you have an approximate date in August for orientation? Should we expect more in the beginning or the end of August? Those dates are yet to be determined, but what we do is we offer a number of different dates throughout the month that you'll be able to sign up for when those dates are announced. So information will be sent home with those dates, and at that time you'll be able to contact the appropriate person on the form to sign up for one of those orientation dates.
I see a couple questions here that are kind of the same. When a student picks their elective, is it first come, first serve? What would inhibit one from getting their electives? A variety of things come into play when the schedule comes together. Typically, the upperclassmen have greater chances of getting into some of the electives simply because they have to meet graduation requirements. So oftentimes we need to schedule a student for a specific class because they're a 12th grader and they have to take it in order to graduate. Other times classes are only available to upperclassmen. So as you look at the program of studies, you'll see that some of the elective classes are not even available to freshmen. Like you have to be a sophomore, a junior, or a senior to take the class. In addition, prerequisites come into play. So there are certain electives that you have to take classes before you're even eligible to take them. But essentially, all of the school counselors, we do the very best we can to make sure that students are provided their first choice or their second choice, third choice electives. Once the initial schedule is created, we then provide it to the families, and then students still have an opportunity to try to change their schedule. So if they didn't get their first choice or second choice elective, you can reach out to the school counselor and say, hey, you know, is it possible for my student to get into that culinary class or that art class? And we'll take a look and we'll do our very best to make sure that students are able to get in there. And another time it just simply comes down to fitting the puzzle pieces together. So if your child is, let's say, in IMS and also in band, it may be that the band class and one of the IMS electives that they have to take are offered the same period and that you have to choose between them. So a variety of different things, but like I said, we always try to get students their first choices, first and second choices, and we, you know, spend a lot of time, you know, making sure that students are happy with their schedules.
There were a couple of questions about the orientation, when it will be held, and will parents be provided with tours? Generally, the orientation is held near the end of August. In the event that, and they usually give you 2 or 3 dates, in the event that that changes or you're not available, you're away, we can arrange a time for you to come in and take the student on a tour of the building and provide them with that orientation information. Parents generally are not provided with tours of the building during our back to school night, depending on how things go this next year. Parents have an opportunity to tour the building or to take a look at the building at that time. There were a couple of questions that had to do with honors. If a student was not recommended for an honors course, could they still be placed in an honors class? If the recommendation is not made for a student to be in an honors course, teacher recommendation, they can go through the process of a request for review. What happens is that the middle school counselor will complete that request for review, and they will submit it to myself and the department chairperson. The department chairperson supervisor will review it and advise as necessary. They will advise you on whether or not the student could take the honors course or not.
Someone's
So-
asking, sorry.
Go ahead.
Someone's asking, do programs like IMS provide similar academic experiences to honors classes? The IMS is an honors program, and the curriculum, for example, in an IMS honors level math class is the same as the non-IMS honors math class. The curriculums are both the same. What's different is the experience that the child gains from being in the same cohort with students that are interested in the same type of field. So for example, in IMS, the Institute of Math and Science, that's, it's for students who are interested in like STEM, math, science, that sort of thing. So the benefit that they get from being around peers that likewise like them, that's the field that they're interested in. Also, typically in person, sometimes they benefit from going on field trips and things like that. Sometimes they would go to like a laboratory, or if it's through IH, the honors program, sometimes they would take, a field trip to a museum or something like that. So it's a little bit different in regards to the additional experiences that they would get, but the Curriculum, like I said, is the same for IMS and non-IMS honors level classes.
Someone asked about COVID protocols. Are they like the middle school? And next year we'll see, but this year the district follows the same COVID protocols. So whatever protocols are at the middle school will be at the high school as well. It's going to be contingent upon where we're at that time as it relates to COVID. So if there are protocols in place, yes, the district has district-wide protocols that each school should follow.
I'll take this question. What is the difference between honors versus AP? When can a student be admitted to AP? So AP stands for advanced placement, and typically the first opportunity that students have a chance to take AP classes is their junior year. We do have some students who take them sophomore year, but typically the majority of them become available in junior year. Advanced placement is even more rigorous than honors level, and it also can provide a student with an opportunity to earn college credit while in high school. So typically, in order to be recommended for an advanced placement level class, the student would need to be in the honors class the year before. There's always exceptions that are made, but typically that's how it's done, and it's based on teacher recommendations. So the student needs to get recommended by the teacher to be placed in the advanced placement class. When they're in the advanced placement class, they take it throughout the year, and in May, they have the opportunity to take the AP test, and depending on how they do with the test, those credits may be awarded college credit if they do well in the AP test.
Okay, someone's asking for classes that are in the business education section but have a 21 next to them on the list. Do they cover the graduation requirements for both? So as far as the graduation requirement is concerned, that's for 21st century career, not specifically business education. There are electives within business education that can fulfill the graduation requirement for 21st century career. So if there's a 21 next to the course, that counts towards that graduation requirement.
We have a few questions concerning what is TCI and EVID and how it differs from honors and IH and IMS.
So TCI, the actual course that you take is not an honors level course. It's a program, so it's a class you take, but it's also a program that helps support students to be basically college bound, to be college ready. So basically you are able to get support, additional support from that teacher, with exploring college, doing a little bit of SAT prep, even when it comes to college applications and working on like your essay or even the application itself, because for example, I don't know if you're familiar, but with Common App, that can be a really long process within the college application itself. So the teachers will spend time doing that. They'll also do exercises in the class to get students to kind of engage in that higher level thinking that takes place at the college level. So they might do things like Socratic seminars, just different sorts of exercises to kind of getting them to think like a college student would as well. They even do things like show students different styles of note taking. For example, they use something called WICR, W-I-C-R. I can't think exactly about what that stands for at this moment, but it's a specific note taking style that helps students, really be able to get down the most accurate type of notes, kind of like what you would do at the college level as well. So the program itself, not that it's an honors level program, it's just simply meant to give that sort of support, that sort of preparation to get students ready to be college bound.
I see a question here. If a student doesn't want to take a certain honors or AP class, do they need to take it, or can they take the regular class? This is a great question. There are often times where a student is recommended for honors classes, and the student may say that that may seem overwhelming to the student, and absolutely they can choose to take the regular level if they want, if they feel like they're going to get overwhelmed or it's going to be too much to handle. This often happens a lot of times with student athletes. It's very time consuming when you're in season, and a lot of times, even if you're recommended for all of these honors or AP level classes, the student and the family, in conjunction with the school counselor, can make a decision to take a step back. So that's definitely an option.
Okay, as they're clearing out the last of the Q&A questions now, if anyone else has any Q&A questions, now would be the time. This information will be available through not only the presentation that was created with all the great links, but also a recording of this webinar as well with the questions that were asked. So maybe if you didn't catch it and you want to take a little closer look at the presentation, you will have that ability. And Ms. Butler, I'm sure will have some information about where you can get that.
It looks like there's one last question about, it says in the packet of materials sent, there was a program where students can take college classes during their 4 years for college credits. Is this program available? The answer is yes. We have a variety of programs where you can get college credit while you're in high school. One of them is the Rutgers Health Sciences program. I don't believe any of the college credit programs are, they don't start in freshman year. So a lot of them are available to upperclassmen, but this would be when you take a sequence of classes, you're eligible to earn credits through a variety of different college campuses. And we have partnerships with Drew University, with Rutgers, with William Patterson, and a variety of others for students to do college level classes.
If we could have James just clarify what his question is. You had written, what about valedictorian? If you can just write a little more in detail what you're asking about the valedictorian.
Rosanna, you would like to answer the question about the advanced classes while we're waiting on James?
Sure. So it says if a student is not involved in one of the advanced classes, is there still a protocol where all students have access to college essay writing and planning/supervision? So our seniors, their number one resource when it comes to doing their college essay is their 12th grade English teacher. All of the 12th grade English teachers are ready and they expect to be approached for help with the college essay. In fact, many of the 12th grade teachers even make that one of the assignments for their class, where they have to draft an essay and work together to come up with a good essay for the student. In addition to that, I'm not sure exactly what you meant by planning and supervision, maybe with regards to the essay itself. That's an ongoing process between the student and the teacher. But in addition to that, in terms of college planning, they have their school counselor to kind of help them along the way with everything.
Okay, thank you. James had clarified a little bit. Just maybe if you can explain the valedictorian really quick, what if it's an award or if it boosts the GPA, maybe just a quick example of what definition of what the valedictorian is.
Valedictorian is the student with the highest GPA in the class. The valedictorian and salutatorian, which is the student with the second highest GPA in the class, is typically named in the beginning of senior year. It is a prestigious award, meaning that it's the student with the highest GPA in the class.
Thank you.
The parent who asked about their daughter specifically, if you can contact me tomorrow at the high school, I can answer that question based on the information that I look up as it relates to your daughter. You can email me or call me tomorrow at the high school.
I'm going to place Miss Butler's email address in the chat for everyone.
A parent asked, I am a new parent to the district and not sure of the technology requirement for middle school or the district. I'm not sure what you're referring to for technology requirement. I will say that at the high school, students use their Chromebooks every day. So students are provided with Chromebooks, and especially with the pandemic and everyone having to go virtual, I would say that they're used even more than ever. Most teachers use the Google Classroom and Google Suite programs. So students, are required and expected to bring their computers, their Chromebooks with them every day to school, charged, and most classes use them each day.
Okay.
And we have someone asking about the Keen program. How can a child apply for the Keen Scholar Academy?
I'm not familiar with this program.
Right, I'm not familiar with the King Scholar Academy and how the student applies. If you would like Deborah Robinson, you can contact me tomorrow. I'll do a little research and find out what that program is and how the student can apply. Someone asked about their son or daughter. Could they be, does your child have to be in honors or AP classes to be the valedictorian, or is it just, it's the highest GPA, and that's contingent upon the different courses that the students are taking. So many of our students who are the valedictorian and salutatorian have taken honors as well as AP courses.
Then we have a question about the class losing half of middle school. Will they feel behind on learning independence? Will there be extra help for those students that may need help, i.e. organization, advocating for themselves, etc.?
I would say that the school counselor will be a tremendous resource for any student who needs that guidance and needs that support. There are many different resources at the high school that is available to the students for that extra support, and the school counselor can help with navigating those areas.
Okay, someone is asking if I have already filled out my elective selection form. Is there a way for me to change my choice before the end of this school year? Yes, you can make as many changes as we need to till the end of the school year. Just for now, notify your middle school counselor, and they can also, your school counselor will also reach out to us if it's past a point that they can make the change and we have to do it.
Ms.
So
Santos,
just reach
can I
out to your
jump in?
school. Yes.
I think I was chatting with Luca on email. Luca, the form is going to be open for you to make edits and revisions until it's due on the 21st. And then after the 21st, if there are any changes that you need to make to your elective form, you can email me. And, as long as I'm working on scheduling, I can make the changes. And if our part of the middle school is done, then we'll forward your information to the high school.
There's a question here, and I also answered one of the questions by typing it, but in the high school, do all the grades take classes together? So this varies based on the class. A class like biology or modern world history, which typically are freshman classes, they will only consist of freshmen, but many of the elective classes could have students in all grade levels.
Someone is asking if your child is in honors algebra 2, what is the path for mathematics in high school? So they would move on to geometry. Then after that, it would be pre-calculus. And then after that, they can go into either calculus or statistics.
Okay, and we'll just have one last call for any questions as we're wrapping up now. A few people have said some very nice things, so I want the panelists to be aware if they didn't see it. People are saying thank you, very clear, very helpful. It was a great presentation. And again, it will be available not only in electronic form, but the video as well. Okay, Ms. Butler, if that seems to be the end of the questions at this time, if you want to wrap us up.
Okay. Once again, I would like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. I'm hoping that the information that was provided to the families that are present this evening was helpful. If you do have any additional questions or concerns, please feel free to email or call me. My email address was put in a chat, cbutler@westorangeschools.org. Tomorrow, the middle school counselors will be sharing with you all the information that was discussed. A copy of the PowerPoint will be provided to you as well. School counselors' contact information is in that, is included in that as well. Once again, thank you and have a great evening.